Okay. See, fourth class today. Fourth is na attitude and foundational values for civil services. For civil service, integrity. The values are integrity, impartiality, non-partisanship, objectivity, dedication to public service, empathy, tolerance, compassion towards the weaker sections. See, aptitude. Aptitude should not be confused with the attitude. Aptitude, which implies the innate talent, or the abilities and capabilities, that exist with the individuals. The ability and capability that exist with the individuals. That means it is a natural capabilities to deal with a particular domain of activities. A particular domain of activity. Aptitude is different from the attitude. Attitude is a predisposition. That means it is a predisposition towards a particular objects. That is the outcome of a tender age socialization, outcome of nurture in the family, in the society, and all. Whereas the aptitude is naturally imbibed. Both the attitude and the aptitude determines human behavior. Determines the human behavior. Say both has to be matched. You say you take the aptitude of an individual aspirant with known for his best of the aptitudes and the skills of required for the civil services exam competence, an individual of the best aptitude to be matched with this attitude. While the preparation, there should not be any deviation, a meditative preparation, aiming for the particular goal. So both the attitude and the aptitude matches means he succeeds, he cracks. If a particular attitude is missing, that means the individual is deviated from his while his preparation in process. He got deviated. When attitude missed, he couldn't get through. If an individual having an only attitude of cracking exam, but not able to get through the CSAT paper, not able to resolve the logic of the cases, means he couldn't get through. So, the objective achievement is dependent on both attitude and aptitude. That is the aptitude. Aptitude deals with the skills. The skills that include the capabilities, abilities, capabilities, as well as certain values. Certain values. Attitude is actually the skills of competence. It is the skills of competence. It exists. It could be. It could be examined. That is in the levels of persons, as well as in the levels of requirement for a domain. In the levels of person, a person is having a unique attitude, is a seed actually, a seed to grow itself as a tree, to grow itself as a tree. It is a seed. It is the innate potentials of the individual, known for the variations, diversity, the personal variations. Every individual is having is a distinctive skills, that is naturally gifted to him. Naturally gifted, a individual would have the finger dexterity. For example, a dexterity, known for is natural capability to deal with the micro activities in the domains of mechanics, in mechanical activities. Micro activity deals with certain skills of carpentry, surgery, then dealing with certain the electronic circuits and all. That is the naturally imbibed skill of the dexterity, finger dexterity, can spin the ball, spin the ball. Some individuals known for the skills of the numeric skills. They love the numbers naturally, numeric skills, able to get through that numerical reasonings, and that natural seed towards the field of engineering, towards the field of the engineering and technologies, micro technologies, because of numeric skill. Some individuals are having the logical skills, able to examine the logic of the cases, able to unravel, able to discover the point of contradictions, actual point of contradictions, able to resolve the cases, able to understand the human relations naturally, able to understand the human relations naturally, able to find out the basic values. You see, the Osho stories, the stories of Osho, the entire stories or the episode that Osho describes, elucidates some natural values. The Osho once called that it is a heaven if the English is a policeman, French is a cook. English is a policeman, French is a cook, and the German as a mechanic. Osho is talking about the variations in the level of generalizing with the nationality, and he says, in contrast, he say it would become a hell if English become cook. The English become cook and the German become policeman. So that is that's the aptitude that the Osho believe, that nationally imbibed attitude. It generalizes. In same, it is naturally there exists as a seed, a inner potential within the individuals, varies. In same, the domains also varies. Domains also varies with the domains varies with the requirements of the aptitude. Domains where aptitude actually deals with the competence. It deals with the competence. The skills of competence. The skills of competence. The competence means the professional competence, the skills of professional competence. The skills of professional competence. Then the competence means socio-cultural competence. The socio-cultural competence. Competence means with the emotional competence, that is the emotional competence, that the aptitudes, emotional competence, and the ethical competence. Apply these competence skills. Apply this, the best of the individual achievements would be the expressions are determined by the different competence. You apply this competent skills required for a civil servant. A civil servant need these competent skills of the civil servants. The professional competence, that means a civil servant's professional competence deals with the hard work. The 24/7, not for the weeks or the days or the months, but throughout his career. That means a hard work, as well as the professional competence. A hard work should accompanied with empathy, selflessness, selflessness, as the Nolan Committee points out that 7 values of the professional competence for the civil servant. The values of the leadership, objectivity, honesty, leadership, objectivity, honesty, integrity, accountability. That is the professional competence. A professional competence. Then the socio-cultural skills. Understanding, ability of decoding the values of the communities, decoding certain values and the beliefs of the communities. A civil servant working in the tribal, among the indigenous communities of the tribes, should have that competitive skill of decoding the community's attitudes, the community's collective attitude of a tribal community, a collective attitude of the tribal community. For example, the cones of the Gujarat, the cones of the Odisha, and Madhya Pradesh, the cones of Odisha don't have the value of milking the cow. In that, the civil servant has to find out contradictions between a cattle-centric welfare scheme to the community which don't have the habit, the generational habit of the milking the cow. So the ability to find out the contradictions, the value conflict, the situations, the ability to gauge the levels of the contradictions between the community's perceptions on the conscience of the welfare programs, conscience of the program implementation, is an aptitude. It is an aptitude. Then the emotional competence, that means the ability of managing emotions, the individual emotions, the emotions of others, the emotions of the people, and others. Then the ethical competence, a successful civil servants are known for. Ethical component is a gauge. A successful civil servant known for the higher degree of the ethical traits, ethical traits in his actions, and in his actions of policy formations and implementations. In his actions of policy formations and the implementation, you take for example, an ideal example. It was the E. Sridharan, called as the Metro Man of India. E. Sridharan, called as the Metro Man of India, known for his career, a proven career of exhibiting the aptitudes of administrative aptitude, the administrative aptitude, the technological aptitude, the administrative aptitude, professional aptitude, and technological aptitude. Is Sridharan known for the example of reconstructing the Pomban Bridge in 1960s. In 1960s, when the Pomban Bridge in Tamil Nadu was almost destroyed by the disasters, and it is in the level of 60s technology. It was expected that the bridge could take 1 year to reconstruct. 1 year to reconstruct, but it was reconstructed with a record time of 45 days. With a record time of the 45 days. The 45 days that the Israel completed with some methodology, the methodology of the administrative competence skills. But the Sridharan made every in his almost. Not only that, Sridharan also known for the construction of Delhi Metro within a record period of time. Delhi Metro was constructed within a record period of time. And in course of construction, when the project is going on, and an accident occurred that resulted in the death of some of the workers. That made him to resign. Though not accepted by the government. That is the professional competence, technological competence, administrative competence. It is the professional competence, because the delay and procrastination of the projects may lead to the cost of public funds, later. So it is the aptitude. The aptitude of the civil servants depends upon his skills of administration, professional. The way the East Region functions with a focus on time. In every department concerned him, he always fixes with the reverse timing equipments and the methods. Every department is allocated with certain with the timings, of countdown, That means a reverse countdown. Timings of reverse countdown, as he's reading. You say the present existing the collectors, IAS collectors as Radha Krishnan, are known for his work in the tsunami rehabilitation, tsunami rehabilitations, where the Radhakrishnan IAS was appointed, replacing the existing collector at the Nagapattinam district, which was vastly affected in the tsunami disaster. The Nagapattinam collector, sitting in the office, Veera Shanmugamani, as he was called, Nagapattinam collector, then collector, sitting in the office. That made the chief minister of the Tamil Nadu immediately replaced with the Radhakrishnan, who exhibited his professional competence within a record period of time. Enabled by the coordination of the NGOs, which includes the same Seva Bharati, the NGO, able to remove the corpses, the people died. People died when the local communities, people hesitated to the removal of the corpses. It is the collector who persuaded the NGOs, and in turn that persuaded the local communities to involve in the work of removing the corpses first. That is the work. So it is the aptitude, the idealized aptitude of a civil servant. The idealized aptitude of the civil servant is the highest skills of competence, along with the values, highest skills of competence along with the value. Actually, the aptitude is a seed. It is the innate potential. It exists in the capabilities of biological capabilities, the physical capabilities, the biological capabilities. It is a seed. The innate potential. Our innate potential needs to emerge itself as a tree. Requires the three aspects. One is the finding out that particular aptitude. That means that is the discovery, the self-discovery of aptitude, or the leadership particularization of the aptitude. A civil servant's need to work 24 hours. A civil servant need extreme tolerance. A civil servant need extreme empathy to deal with a different set of people. A civil servant need a physical strength, endurance to work hard in different circumstances. So you should have the aptitude of perseverance. Perseverance as the innate aptitude, a positive aptitude. Perseverance. You should have the aptitude of the perseverance. You should have the aptitude of physical ability. Aptitude of a physical ability required for that work of 24/7 throughout the career. You should have the ability. You should have selflessness. Should have the ability of the selflessness. You should have the ability of managing the emotions. So these are all the aptitudinal skills that has to be find out. Then second one is how that seed can blossom into trees and the fruits. The seed to blossom, that is attitudinal resolve. Attitudinal resolve of resolve of a public service. Attitudinal resolve of a public service. Attitudinal resolve of the public service. Attitudinal resolve of a public service with compassion, a public service with the determination, compassion and the determination. Not only that, it requires the the socio-cultural environment. A socio-cultural environment. A civil servant requires a socio-cultural environment. A civil servant with the high skills of aptitudinal competence as well as attitudinal resolve. Attitudinal resolve. Yeah, with the proper socio-cultural environment is succeed. A proper socio-cultural environment is succeed. A civil servant having the higher aptitudinal competence, and the attitudinal resolve without the socio-cultural environment also succeed in the moderate levels. Also succeed in the moderate levels. A civil servant of low skills without attitudinal, but with the better socio-cultural environment of a good economy and all, you don't succeed. You don't succeed. You take the rogue states of the demographic managements in India. The demographic managements in India is the rogue states, or those states of having gender imbalance. Those states of having gender imbalance. That means high rate of female infanticide, and a high rate of female illiteracy. Then girls drop out. Girls drop out. Or the states of best in the economy, the states of higher per capita income in economy, Punjab having the higher per capita income, Haryana having the higher per capita income, is categorized as the rogue state. Can be categorized as the rogue state. The rogue state are known for the best of the officers, best of the skills, but having the socio-economic conditions of socio-economic conditions of the difference in attitude towards the girls and the women. It fails. It fails. So this say attitude. That means the materialization of the skills requires discovery of the attitude to match the proper domain in civil services. A person has to get habituated with the attitude, and a person is favorable to the natural aptitude of perseverance, physical abilities, selflessness, and managing the emotions with the attitudinal resolve and the social-cultural environment. So it is the question of aptitude and attitude. The question of aptitude and the attitude. Aptitude is natural, and attitude is cultural. Aptitude is natural, and attitude is a cultural. Aptitude deals with competence. But attitude deals with the condition of predisposition. A condition of the predisposition. Aptitude is actually the skill. Capabilities. Whereas the attitude is not skill capabilities. It's a will. It deals with the will. Aptitude deals with the skills, but the attitude deals with the will of the person, will and resolve of the person. Say that is the difference. Aptitude deals with the technical competence, the skill, But the attitude deals with the moral, the will. The moral, the will. Aptitude is the evaluation of task performance. Attitude is the evaluation of people's issues and the principles. Attitude is the process deals with efficiency. Attitude deals with the process of objective that we chooses, with the objective that we chooses. So it is aptitude is a question of capabilities, but as the attitude that deals with the question of values, it deals with the question of the values. So it is a match of values, match of the values and the skills that makes the successful civil servant, makes the successful civil servants. So aptitude is one deals with the capabilities, abilities, as well as the values, as well as the values. There are certain values which are called as the fundamental. What are the fundamental? What do you mean by fundamental? The fundamental values. What is that fundamental values? The fundamental values. Fundamental values for a civil servant, civil service. Fundamental value for the civil service. The fundamental value for the civil service. It is called as the foundational values. The foundational values for the civil service. Foundational. The foundational values for the civil service. Foundation means the core value. The core value, a core value for a particular domain. A core value for a particular domain. That core value is of fundamental. A particular domain, fundamental. You say a particular domain. For example, you take medical field. The core value of the medical field is of respect to the life. The respect to the life. The core value of press, you take the freedom of press, freedom of right, freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression is the core value of the press. Okay. A core value of the sports. Core value of the sports is the objective to win. That means success as the core. A core value of military, armed forces, courage as a core value of the armed forces. That is that is called as foundational value. That is called as the foundational value. Foundational value is the core value that seems to be fundamental for the particular domain, that seems to be the identity, distinctive for that domain, identity of that domain, the identity of the domain, as the courage for the military, compassion for the charity, respect to life, for the respective life. A doctor would compromise anything for the care of the life of the people. So it is the core, that is the core. This is called as the foundational values. Called as the foundational values. The foundations. Then what is the foundational value of a civil service? Civil service. What is the foundational value of the civil service? The foundational value of the civil service is ARC Commission. Second ARC Commission. The second ARC Commission highlights the foundational value of the civil service. The core foundational value of the civil service is integrity. Integrity. The integrity as the core foundational values, along with the values of objectivity, empathy, probity in public office, then a care and concern for the citizens, care and concern for the citizens, then impartiality, care and concerns for the citizens, and the impartiality. These are the core value that is demanded in the domain of civil service. We studied that the values are the core principles and beliefs. Core principles and beliefs acts as an anchor, acts as an internal anchors of an individual. For a civil servant, the second ARC Commission highlights the core value. The core value. It was a core value for a civil servant. That means the prime value, that is integrity. Integrity is the prime value of a civil servant. What do you mean by integrity? Integrity in Tamil, integrity in Tamil, integrity in Tamil, Nirmai. Integrity as the core value of the integrity, which literally means undivided. Undivided. That means compactness and undivided. The compactness of certain attitude of the individual. An individual of integrity is always straightforward. Always straightforward in any situations in his life. An individual of integrity known for honesty. Known for honesty. An individual of integrity known for his shall not bend to any of the pressure to the external, to the external source, any of the pressure to the external. So integrity is actually an internal anchor. Internal anchor. It don't allow the individual to fall in any of the circumstances, of his life. Any of the circumstances of his life. You say, in the futures of integrity, that means an individual is always truthful and straightforward, even if he is not being watched. If he is not being watched, an individual is always being straightforward and honest, even in any course of adversity. A person of integrity known for the higher degree of fortitude. That means he shall not compromise in any of the situations that is incapabilities. Any of the situations, the Greek mythology known for many gods, a god of many gods. In the fight of the gods of the Greek mythology, a god called as Saturn, fallen in the fire. where the other God states, you lost everything. You lost everything. The reply is, but not the unconquerable will. I lost everything I know, but not my unconquerable will. That is a condition of fortitude. That is staying steady regardless of win or lose. Staying steady regardless of the win or lose. Integrity of the person known for certainty, known for the certainty. Certainty, integrity is the mother of all the values. The mother of all the values. Integrity is different from the honesty. Integrity is different from the honesty. It is different from the honesty. Honesty is a part of integrity. Honesty is a part of integrity. Honesty is straightforwardness. Straightforwardness of a person. Straightforwardness of a person. But differs from the integrity. Integrity is of an uncompromising attitude. A honest person may lie. A honest person may lie at the time demands, but he is straightforward to confess that he lied for the particular purpose. Lied for the particular purpose. A honest person may shall tolerate some activities of corruption, sometimes that is beyond his control. Activities of corruption is beyond his person, beyond his control. But the man of integrity don't allow the corruption even of others. Even of others. Don't allow the corruption even of others, and don't allow the and never lie. Never lie. He always stood on the values, always stand on the values. It is the values. It is the values on which everything exists in the state system. It is the values we cultivate a morality of respecting the Constitution because of value. Because of the value. Every state institution functions because of the values. And the prime value is integrity. Prime value is the integrity. The integrity as a value could be analyzed in the level of individual and the level of institution. In the level of individual and in the level of institution. The integrity in the level of individual, an uncompromising stand, not of committing with the corruption and also of prohibiting others to do the corruption. You take the TN session as an example. TN session as an example. As a former CEC, Chief Election Commissioner, the former Chief Election Commissioner, CN Session, known for his impeccable record, was appointed as the Chief Election Commissioner. Chief Election Commissioner by the Government of India, in which the TN Session are able to observe the electoral system of India at that time. The electoral system of India, known for the electoral malpractice. Electoral malpractice. It was the electoral malpractice. The electoral malpractice occurs in the campaigns. Occurs in the campaigns of mispersuasions. Electoral malpractice occurs in the form of booth capturing. Booth capturing. The electoral malpractice occurs in the form of the fraud voters. Fraud voters, booth capturing. Booth capturing. Then the use of misuse of election finance. election finance. This seems to be the nature in which the TN session came out with the macro regulations of the election identity cards, election identity cards, election identity cards, election identity cards to prohibit, to restrict the electoral malpractices, and TN session also known for the strict implementation of the strict implementation of the code of conduct, in fixing the hours of campaign, time limits of the campaign, certain protocols, the strict protocols of the campaign, empowering the election observers, seems to be a milestone of election reforms in India, a milestone of the election reforms because of his integrity, and integrity in the highest levels of integrity made a session to confirm the constitutional morality of the Article 324 that deals with the election system. A session read the article that the superintendence and control, then the spirit of the article as to free and fair election as one among the element of basic structure. Free and fair election as one among the element of the basic structure, as a professional integrity known for its non-partisanship, where the TN session, after there is retirement, contested the elections representing the Congress party, but it was during his tenure, some of his actions terrified the ruling Congress party. Some of the actions like cancelling the elections of the VIPs, which include the strong man of the Indian politics like the Lalu Prasad Yadav, the cancelling the elections, public elections on the grounds of the election malpractices. TN session represented the election commission activism. Election commission activism is attitude, and the socio-economic environment, influence the socio-economic environment. It's inspired the democratic moralities of the people of India. It is the Congress party, the ruling party government at that time, converted single-member election commission office into multi-member election commission office, that was against to the personal will of the TN session, never compromised. Even later it is proved that it was the outright value of non-partisanship exhibited because of integrity. Integrity is the internal anchor, the personal integrity. I'm saying it is the institutional integrity. It is in the level of integrity could be explored in the level of personality, as well as in the level of institution. There are the institutions of integrity that we can identify. Institutions of integrity. Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India as the functional institution cherishing the values of integrity. Then the Election Commission of India. Then Controller and Auditor General of India, that is the public institutions. Then corporate institutions as the Tata Sons, corporate institutions, Tata, See, when the problem occurred, when a minor problem occurred in the nano car, a minor problem occurred, mechanical problem occurred as the manufacturing problem, but the Tata ready to take risk of of uh, reprocuring all the cars that was sold out and rectified it. The institutional capital, that means institutional integrity is much essential for the democracies, because of the concerns of institutionalization of the commission, institutionalization of corruption, institutionalization of corruption, institutionalization of the corruption, in which a corruption, if not restricted, it makes some institutional system and the entire socio-economic environment, institutional system and the entire socio-economic environment to become corrupt. That is the institutionalization of the corruption. Institutionalization of the corruption as the trend that is appropriated to India, in which the adoption of license Raj, the license regime, license inspectorate regime, the license inspectorate regime that was adopted in India since 1956. The license inspectorate regime adopted in India from 1956 to the 1990 as the part of industrial policy. As a part of the industrial policy, the license inspectorate regime resulted in the institutionalization of corruption throughout India. It was identified by Santanam Committee of 1964. Santanam Committee of 1964 identified the institutionalization of it. That means corruption reinforced in the society and among the society, in the institutions. Institutions promotes corruption in the society, and society corrupts the institutions, where it was the institutionalization of the corruption known for the speed money habit among the corporates of India at that time. The speed money habit, that means among the corporate budget there is a speed money. It is called as a speed money. That means a part of the corporate budget, corporate management of corrupt bribe, corporate management having a part of the speed money column in their accounting system of bribe. An institutionalization of the corruption led to the advent of chronic capitalism, as the state favoring chronic capitalism, as the state favoring certain institutions that started scams in India. The first of the scam associated with the corporate public nexus was the Mundra scam. Mundra scam associated with the procurement of vehicles, the jeeps, the vehicles, requirement for the government and army, known for the mechanical defaults and the failures. It was the scam. The scam pointed out the corrupt in the Finance Ministry of India. But the entire environment is corrupt. Became corrupt because the corruption was institutionalized throughout India because of the misuse of discretionary powers. The license inspectorate regime rise from the inspectorate regime. These are all, that is in the levels of the institutions, and the levels of personality. And integrity is a indispensable internal anchor for the civil servants. Internal anchor for the civil servants. Then we have impartiality. Impartiality, which means impartiality is of a constructive neutrality. A constructive neutrality despite of a difference in policies and politics and the governance system, despite of difference in the policies and the governing system. Impartiality is not of a passive difference and the silence towards the difference. Is not a passive silence towards the difference, not of passive neutrality towards the difference, but of active neutrality. Impartiality, that means an attitude and functions of a civil servant, irrespective of the party and ideology in power. Irrespective of the party and the ideology in power. Irrespective of party and ideology. Impartiality, that means a civil servant's approach towards the problems. That means a civil servant's approach towards the problem without any prejudice and bias. Impartiality is an expression of selflessness. To be displayed by the civil servant. Impartiality could be displayed in the aspect of the neutrality in advice. Neutrality in advice to the elected representatives, ministers. Neutrality in advice to the ministers. Impartiality would exhibit in the form of a neutral objectives in policy. Impartiality without any bias in implementations, any discriminations in implementation of the policy programs, any discrimination. Impartiality is a loop of equity and justice. Impartiality is a loop of the equity and justice. Impartiality enable the neutrality in administration that restores the public trust. Impartiality able to win the confidence of vulnerable sections. Impartiality in functions inspires the morality of the staff, and it confers the trust. Morality of the staffs. It confers the trust among the people. Confers the trust among the people. That is the impartiality as a part of integrity in function, as a type of integrity in function. A neutrality A civil servant should be neutral, irrespective of change in the political parties in the power, change in the political parties in power, or non-partisanship, by impartiality. Then objectivity, objectivity, objectivity. Impartiality is an attitude. Impartiality is an attitude. Objectivity is a function. Objectivity is a function. It's a functional quality. Objectivity is a functional quality. Impartiality is an attitudinal quality. Objectivity is one that exists in the implementations. Exists in the implementation of the programs, implementation of the welfare policies, implementation of the goals to be achieved, implementation of the goals to be achieved. Objectivity establishes the predictability and certainty of the institutions. Objectivity able to eliminate nepotism and favoritism in the administration. Nepotism and favoritism in the administration. You take the example of Dr. Sandeep Saxena. It's the performance of Dr. Sandeep Saxena. Sandeep Saxena, who served as the Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu government, conducted the elections, who exhibited these qualities of as a chief election officer of the state in the elections of 2026, were the qualities of impartiality in the midst of charges and counter charges of the political parties, charges and the counter charges of the political parties, in which the impartiality is exhibited in the form of a role of superintendents in conducting elections. The role of superintendents in conducting the elections were introduced the system of e-vigil over the electronically documented malpractices, then the GPS enabled squads, enabled the flying squads. GPS enabled the flying squads. Then the videographic evidences of the electoral malpractices. That is the impartiality in which the objective implementation of the electoral conducting elections, objective implementation for conducting the elections of expanding the booths and public facilities, on the security coverage that are able to promote the faith of the people to enable the free and the fair elections. So impartiality and objectivity, those having a greater proximity, but both are different. Impartiality is an attitudinal virtue of the civil servant, value of the civil servant. Objectivity is the implementing value of the civil servant. So it is integrity, impartiality, then the objectivity, integrity, impartiality, the objectivity, then the empathy. Empathy. What is empathy? Empathy. Empathy, getting into the shoes of the other individual, getting into the shoes of the other individual. Empathy is emotionally driven, is an emotionally connected value, emotionally connected value with the sympathy and the compassion. Emotionally connected value with the sympathy and the compassion. Sympathy and the compassion. Emotionally connected value with the sympathy and the compassion. It is an emotional axis of promoting the sympathy and compassion, that getting into the shoes. Empathy enable the fluidity of the fluidity, or it enable the fluidity of understanding the the implied problems, understanding the implied problems and the requirements of the people, implied problems and the requirements of the people, and the requirement of the people. That is that is the aspect of the empathy in the people's line. You take, for example, the role of Divya Devarajan. Divya Devarajan. Divya Devarajan, a collector in Telangana, in 2024. But the collector confronted with a problem, a social problem in Telangana of becoming a communal problem between Gonds, between the tribals, the Gonds and the Lambadas, Gonds and the Lambadas, between the Gonds and the Lambadas, as a collector, as to engage and to resolve the problem, but the collector, being a woman, has taken unprecedented step of participating in the life of the people, where she learned the Gondi language by dedicating half an hour in daily basis, where she learned the Gondi language and able to understand the inter contradictions, the cultural conflict, the culturally built conflict between the communities, the basic requirements of the communities, So the basic requirements as becoming empathetic towards the community requirements, able to solve the problem, not only resolve the communal problem, able to solve the problem. As a mark of gratitude, the people of that community has named a particular village in 2026 as the Divya Guda, in the name of the collector. Divya Guda in the name of the collector. So it is the empathy enable to get into the hearts of the people. Empathy is actually a mean of emotional management. Empathy enable the civil servant to manage the emotional problems, of the people, That is the empathy. Then it was the compassion. Compassion. Compassion is the last resort. Compassion is the first and the last resort of a welfare administration. The first and the last resort of the welfare administration. Compassion is like the roots. Compassion is like the roots that wins the goodwill, that wins the emotions, the goodwill of the people, in which the tree of ethics blossoms, Compassion is a fundamental requirement of the people, a fundamental requirement for the good governance and inclusive governance for the people or the downtrodden sections of the society. It is the requirement of the compassion. The downtrodden sections known for an attitude and the worldview of fatalism. The liberation of the downtrodden sections, the worldview of it represents a personality as idealized by Gandhi as the talisman. A idealized personality of downtrodden by Gandhi. Gandhi advised the common citizen of India as stated that whenever you felt depressed, whenever you are in the condition of peril, you think about those people who born out of perils, lived their life of peril, and lives the generation of peril and poverty. It is a world of fatalism. A world of fatalism needs a savior. A civil servant, compassion. A civil servant act with the virtue of compassion. Is a savior. Is a savior of the downtrodden. One who gives a meaningful virtue of a welfare state. Plato categorizes compassion as one of the cardinal virtue of a man. Plato lists out the cardinal virtues of the man as the courage, justice, temperament, then compassion. Most of the reformers may differ in their philosophies, may differ in their teachings, but it is the compassion that is common. Because compassion is the only light, the light of liberation and hope, only the light of hope and liberation for the people entrapped and entrenched in the darkness of fatalism, in the darkness of the fatalism. In the darkness of the fatalism, the SCST Commission report, the SCST Commission report of 1966 highlights the people of masses, the way of life, people of masses, states there exists a sense of alienation from the means of production, alienation from the sources of production, alienation from the social relations. A sense of alienation leads to bartering their personal liberty. Bartering their personal liberty in turn leads to an attitude of fatalism of their life, a life cycle fatalism. A people with a life cycle fatalism, in which a civil servant of compassion is the hope. Civil servant is a compassion. Compassion is a prelude. To a prelude for the success of the welfare programs among the masses, a prelude to the empathy. Compassion is indispensable for promoting social justice. Social justice. You cannot promote social justice in a mechanical, with a mechanical system, with a mechanical means of law. Mechanical means of law. It is the compassion. Compassion enable the spirit of social justice. Why the particular sections need justice in the form of compensations, in the form of privileges, and the protection rule of the state, that it is compassion that removes fatalism and confers the hope of the people. It could be stated with the example of E.R. Shankaran. E.R. Shankaran, a civil services officer. E.R. Shankaran, a civil services officer in the Andhra Pradesh cadre. Civil services officer in the Andhra Pradesh cadre, called as poor man's collector always. His career, a poor man's collector, as he was called always, as a career, known for that virtues of the civil servant, were always lived with the poor, where utilizes his holidays to spend with the people. Spent with the people. One of the remarkable achievements of the E.R. Shankaran was the liberation of the people from the bonded labor. Liberation of the people in the bonded labor in the districts of Adilabad and other places of the Andhra Pradesh. It was the poor man's collector, known for his spot visit. Known for the sports visit. One of the most remarkable contribution of the E.R. Shankaran was of his suggestions and the recommendations that forms the provisions of Bonded Labor Abolition Act. That forms the Bonded Labor Abolition Act. Bonded Labor Abolition Act of 1976. Bonded Labor Abolition Act of 1976, which confers the proactive powers for the states, the sumoto powers for the state administration to deals with the bonded labor, and rehabilitation mechanisms to deals with the bonded labor, in which the act was full of compassion. It is the act and the ideal of compassion could be stated with E.R. Shankaran's IAS, E.R. Shankaran IAS, as the as as the as the part of as a part of the civil services achievements in India. That is the value of compassion, value of the compassion. Then it is tolerance. Then it is the tolerance. Tolerance. Tolerance is an attitude of being receptive to the difference, being receptive to the difference, being receptive to the difference, recognizing the diversity, recognizing the diversity of objects includes the people, values, and their moralities, includes the people, values, and the moralities. That means the tolerance towards that is receptive towards the diversities, ideological diversities, beliefs, diversity in the belief systems, customs, practices, communities, customs, practices, and the communities. That is a value. Practices and communities a value. Tolerance is the cherished value of the Indian civilization. A cherished value of the Indian civilization. A cherished value of the Indian civilization. You say, what are the reasons for the tolerance? Tolerance is one of the distinctive value of the Indian civilization. The history of Indian civilization confronted with the adversaries and assimilations. Confronted with the adversaries and the assimilations. It was the adversaries invaded India. Adversaries invaded India from Central Asia, from Persia, and it was the adversaries even from Tibet and China. Even from the Tibet and China, adversaries like the Parthians came, the Kushanas came, Indo-Greeks came, Hunas came, Turks came as the invaders, with the attitude of plunder, destruction, plunder, loot, destruction, plunder, and loot, actually committed genocides on the people of India, enslaved the people of India, destroyed their symbols and monuments of cultural heritage. You see, the Turks invaded India, and it was the millions of people, especially women, subjected to the slavery, sex slavery. These are the adversaries, but known for the subsequence of assimilations that enriched the civilizational heritage of India because of tolerance. The basic reason, the reason for the tolerance of the Indian civilization is of Hinduism and the Hindu traditions. Hinduism and the Hindu tradition represent a tradition, a way of life, a way of life, the way of life as polytheism, a polytheism and pluralism, polytheism and the pluralism. Hinduism is a compositeness way of life, a composite way of life of polytheism and pluralism, which invokes the spirit of spiritual democracy, which invokes the spirit of the spiritual democracy in the society. Spiritual democracy in the society. The three tenets of the Hinduism that fuels, that drives the tolerance as a virtue. One is the spiritual democracy with the inbuilt future of divinity to the multiple, divinity to the multiple objects, pluralistic objects, the gods, the nature, animals associated with everything is divine. Everything is divine, because that makes the Hinduism to cultivate. The second one is the selflessness and sacrifice. Selflessness and the sacrifice. You see, every my themes, that means the themes of the Hindu mythology, the beliefs of the Hindu mythology known for the selflessness and sacrifice. Selflessness and sacrifice, a sacrifice for the particular thing, selflessness, sacrifice, and forgiveness. You see, the forgiveness, entire episodes of Mahabharata ends with the forgiveness. The entire episodes of Mahabharata ends with the forgiveness of Draupadi to the adversaries. The last message that Lord Krishna has taken from Draupadi, conveying to the dying Duryodhana, as she forgiven all your sins that committed to her. Then the third one is that the Nishkama Karma, doing the duty without expecting the results. These are the three fundamental features of the Sanatan way of life. As the spiritual democracy, a inbuilt virtue that fuels the tolerance, sacrifice, and the forgiveness as the highest ideals that makes the people to forgive the adversaries who invaded them. The Nishkama Karma highlights a selflessness, the selflessness as the Sanatan way of life. That is the tolerance, that is the selflessness as the tolerance of that represent as a value, tolerance as the value. The example of the tolerance could be stated. Throughout the history of India. The example of the tolerance could be stated throughout the history of India. It is the tolerance towards the diversity, tolerance towards the adversary and the diversity. Could be stated with the Gandhis, could be stated with the Gandhi's visit to the Naukali. Naukali, in which the Hindu community was severely victimized by the British communal mobs of the Muslims. in which the Gandhi advocated, persuaded tolerance and forgiveness as the highest virtue of the divine, the highest virtue of the divine. So these were the highest, as a civil servant should exhibit the spirit of tolerance, the spirit of tolerance throughout his career life, because it is inevitable, as he has to confront with the different cultures, and different tolerance, integrity, tolerance, and compassion. Integrity, tolerance, and compassion are the golden triangle of the values of civil servant. Integrity, tolerance, and compassion to be applied in all the case studies. You should have the tolerance to listen. A man who lost his legal documents required for the welfare scheme, you should have the tolerance of a illiterate, old age man who lost the legal document required for a scheme. And this tolerance needs compassion. It's tolerance because the tolerance enables compassion. That means, despite of that, I understand that my conscience understand the reasons that you lost, and my conscience of compassion makes you to get avail with that program in the alternate means, in which I cannot compromise the procedures. And I cannot compromise my act of resolving as a precedent to break the procedures. So tolerance, compassion, and integrity are the golden triangle of the values that has to be imbibed with a civil servant. Then other than that, we have the other values of the civil servants, like the accountability as a value, a leadership as a value, selflessness of the value. But these are the prime values in that the three are the premises of being the golden triangles. So this constitutes the study of aptitude, on the foundational values of the civil service. The study of aptitude on the foundational values of the civil services in India. Study of aptitude on the foundational values of the civil services in India. I'll go for any kind of social engineering by successfully implementing welfare schemes. A civil servant must use the reason and critical thinking in an ethical framework. Justify this statement with the suitable example. For any kind of social re-engineering by successfully implement a welfare scheme, A civil servant must use reason and critical thinking in an ethical framework. Reason and critical thinking deals with aptitude and the attitudinal qualities. Aptitude and the attitudinal qualities. Civil servant as a leader has to apply the three aspects. One is particularizing the particular skill, particularizing the skill, then attitudinal resolve, then considering the socio-cultural environment. Considering the socio-cultural environment. The example could be stated with Armstrong Palme. Armstrong Palme. A young IAS officer, Armstrong Palme as an officer in Manipur cadre, as Armstrong Palme as an administrative officer in the Manipur cadre. When the Manipur cadre, in which able to recognize the prime livelihood problem of his district. The prime livelihood problem of his district. Was the lack of connectivity. In Manipur. Armstrong Palme was born in Nagaland, belongs to the Naga tribe. So able to understand the problem of connectivity. The problem of the connectivity as a step for the social restructuring, socio-economic restructuring. So, with the established an objective of constructing a 100-kilometer road, a 100-kilometer road with the bigger resources, with the bigger resources, where Armstrong Palme able to use the funds allocated for MGR scheme, Mahatma Gandhi rural Manjreka schemes and other schemes directing towards it. But only 40 lakhs collected. The remaining is utilized crowdfunding in the form of persuasions, crowdfunding, and also in the form of persuading the public, persuasion and social influence made the contractors and amateur engineers to participate. Then persuading the public persuasions enable them to provide free labor, in which 100 kilometers road became possible of connecting three states of Manipur, Nagaland, and Assam. Say without a government, it is a social re-engineering process, of his professional competence, administrative competence, and the professional competence, able to succeed. Identify the 5 ethical traits of which one can plot the performance of the civil servant, justify their inclusion in the matrix. 5 ethical traits as the foundational traits of the civil service. Any 5 ethical traits, the 3 traits of golden triangle, that is integrity, compassion, tolerance, impartiality, objectivity, the five ethical traits on which one can plot the performance of the civil servants, in which these five traits establishes a matrix of assessment, in which the best of the officers as E.R. Shankaran for compassion, then the integrity displayed by T.N. Session, E.R. Shankaran integrity. Then identify 10 essential values that are needed for an effective public servant. 10 essential values. Any 10 essential values. That means Administrative Reform Commission came out with certain values and the other values. Describe the ways and the means to prevent non-ethical behavior in public servant. What are the ways and the means to prevent the non-ethical barriers, non-ethical behaviors? What are the ways and prevents? It is integrity. Integrity is a way, because integrity provides a clarity of anchorage. Why we should be firm. Integrity provides a clarity of anchorage in profession. This fellow's coming out with a bribe in other forms. It is our integrity of not accepting in any form. Then integrity is a reference. Integrity is a reference for in-depth analysis of an issue. Integrity is a reference for an in-depth analysis of an issue. You see why this, despite of giving loans for the 10 years, the society not coming out. That is a in-depth analysis. Why our office not succeeded in that mission of social upliftment. So that is a reference. It is an anchorage. Then it is a reference. And integrity is a instrumental logic of categorizing and prioritization. Instrumental logic, a particular case given to you, a particular case study given to you, a particular case comes to you. You are having many files. It is the integrity of us able to give priority to the particular file of people's honor is more than a file dealing with the people's honor is more important than the file dealing with the license for a particular mining. So it is the ways and means to prevent. The three values of golden triangle, conformity to the three values of the golden triangle, acts as a shield. Why these values are important? These values are important because these values act as a shield of protecting a civil servant from any types of the external pressures. That is the value. Then, should impartiality and being non-partisans is considered as indispensable qualities to make successful civil servant? discuss with the illustrations. Why we have to be non-partisan, impartial? Why we have to be impartial? The governments come, governments go. Because we have to be impartial, because to secure institutional security, institutional trust with the people, we have to trust with the people's faith. People's faith. That means we have to be impartial. Being impartial, we are able to deliver the programs objectively. The illustrations being illustrated, Dr. Sandeep Saxena, role of conducting the elections could be illustrated, could be stated as the illustrations. Then it was TN Session's role of impartiality of the political parties. Any state, the three basic values, universal in nature, in the context of the civil services, and brings out their importance. Three values. I need not to mention, you can write. One of the tests of integrity is the complete refusal to be compromised. Explain with reference to a real life example. Explain with reference to the real life example. One of the tests of integrity as an anchor is a complete refusal to be compromised. Refusal to be compromised. The life of TN Session never compromised to the political bigwigs. Never compromised when his institution became multi-member body. Never compromised with a real life example. Any examples could be quoted. Any examples to be quoted is a real life examples, not only the civil servants, it is a real life general example. Subhash Chandra Bose. Never compromise. Convened anti-compromise conference. Convened the anti-compromise conference in 1946. Convened never compromised with his ideals. Never compromised with his ideals. Never compromised with his values. With his values of the values of democratic radicalism, national radicalism. Bose never compromised. Even he is tried by his mentor, tried to compromise. If a mentor, Gandhi, attempted to compromise Bose, he never compromised. He may have compromised at the Tipu session he was elected, but the members of the Congress Working Committee, as the High Command, passed a resolution against him. Being the president, already elected himself as the president of a movement, of an organization, when members are passing the resolution, he may compromise and may exist, but he resigned. He never compromised. When entire conditions are being odd, he never compromised. And now could be stated with a real life example. Stated with the real life example that the Subhash Chandra Bose, a unsung hero, not adequately recognized for his role in the freedom struggle. Examine the relevance of the following context, relevance of the following in the context of the service: transparency, accountability, fairness and justice, courage of convictions, and the spirit of service. We will deal with later class in these values. Why should impartiality, non-partisanship be already discussed? Especially in the present day socio-political context. Illustrate your answers with the example. In the present day socio-political concepts, what is the present day social political context? Present day social political context is known for the greater degree of the activism, activism, that means political activism, rise of many political parties, youth activism, political activism, youth activism, known for the political activism, youth activism. The present day socio-political problems, the present day socio-political problems, known for regionalism, threat to the regionalism, known for the vigilantism, communalism, casteism, socio-political context, known for the regionalism. So in which they require impartiality and non-partisanship, because political parties were changing, people's perception is changing. A civil servant's role, ethical role of the civil servants to give neutral advice, neutrality in policy formations, and objectivity in the implementation. Could be objectivity in implementation, in which a civil servant's strong conformity with the values can cultivate the ethos of public faith, society's persuasion. Example is Armstrong Palmy as an example, Divya Devarajan as an example. How do virtues of trustworthiness and fortitude will discuss? Integrity without knowledge is a weak and useless. But knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful. What do you understand by this statement? Explain the stand with illustrations from the modern context. Integrity without knowledge is weak and the useless. That means values without skill is weak. But skills without values is danger. It is a danger. And skills without the value is the reason for scams in India. Satyam computer scam, Ramalinga Raj. Then the Vijay Mallya scam of diverting the funds. Both the Satyam computer, Vijay Mallya, the Nirav Modi scam. The major scams of India, Ketan Parikh, Arshad Mehta scam, Ketan Parikh scam. It is known for high marketing skills without values. Satyam computers scam. This leads to is highest level of financial fraud, market fraud, disrupting the people's economy. Disrupting the people's economy. The scam was because of utility of the skills, of utilizing the loopholes in the systems. Then fraudulent exiles getting away. Fraudulent exiles getting away. What is our stand? Our stand, it is not only ethical, but also against anti-people and the act of criminalities. Because financial fraud is livelihood disruptions in India. Then it destroys the moralities. Then it ruins the people's faith. It ruins the people's faith on the state. Okay. 2013. Values on the public values. What is public value? Public value is one in which appraisal. Public value is an appraisal of government credentials in the act of public welfare. Government credential is act of public welfare. Values of the fundamental beliefs, core beliefs and principles. Public value is an act of appraisal of the government investments, government credentials, and government role in the governance and act of public welfare. That is public value. Public value. All the public sector enterprises' objective is to promote, is to build the public value. Public value is not a singular value. It is plurality of the value. Plurality of the value. It's not a single value. It is the plurality of the value. What is the importance of the public value? What is the importance of the public value? What's the importance of the public value? Public value is the reflection of public faith. It's a reflection of the public faith of internal and in the world. Internal and in the world. Public faith of the internal and in the world. Public faith. You see, when the economic crisis occurred in India in 1990s, to honor the India's debt, external debt, India's external debt, India pledged their gold resource and taken a bold step. That means to confer the faith on India. Confer the faith on India. Same problem occurred at the time to Argentina, to some states. They declared the dissolution of the national debt. So it is the international as well as the internal public faith. Then second, importance of the public value. That value operates in all the levels. You see, the value of sovereign bonds, the value of public bonds, the value of the public bonds, sovereign bonds, the value of the government of India's guarantees. It operates in treaties, international treaties, more than 100 treaties with Japan. Because Japanese recognize India shall stand affirm and faith, affirm, despite of changes in the political parties, changes in the political parties in power. So these are all the public, these are all the values, the public value and the values, importance on the values. What's the importance of the values? Values are the internal anchors. Values are the shields. Values are the compass which gives the direction. Values are the anchors which provides the stability. Values are shields. Values are shields from others. The aptitude, integrity, impartiality, non-partisanship, objectivity, empathy, tolerance, compassion indicate two more attributes that you consider importance to the public service. Indicate two more aptitude other than this. Any two more attitude, any two more attributes other than this. Dutifulness, selflessness, dutifulness, forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. Forgiveness, that is the, then balance. You see, too much values exist, too much of inclination to the values also known for demerits. Any example of demerit of value in India? Demerit of value in India. Any example of demerit of a particular value, in which any example that you dislike a value of Indian civilization? Any example? Any example that you dislike the value of Indian civilization? You have to learn, not in a textual, analysis in different angles. Any value that our civilization cherishes that I dislike. Could you dislike any value? I dislike a value of prohibition, taboo, titu. I dislike that value. I consider to my conscience that is a value exists as a devil, as a evil to the Indian civilization. That is the basis for social hierarchy, inequality, and all. And I also dislike too much of tolerance. What is, how tolerance, extreme tolerance as the misfitted value for India. Extreme tolerance makes India to become soft state. Extreme tolerance to become the soft state, Indian state, soft state. A soft state wins. India not forgives, neglects. India neglects those who intended to destroy India. India neglects those who intend to destroy India. You say India neglects. It is the only nation, to me, to my conscience, only nation who lives with a proportion of the population of Tukde India. To destroy India as slices, to destroy India as slices. The people assembled in Jawaharlal Nehru University and openly declaring Tukde India. Is it possible in Iran? Is it possible in Pakistan? Tukde Pakistan. Would the people allow, government allow in Pakistan? Too much of tolerance that as a virtue that imbibed lead to neglect of anti-Indians. Too much of tolerance led to survival and success of criminals in India. Survival and success of criminals and corrupt in India because in all the levels, too much of tolerance. A minister is being penalized with a verdict, able to get bail, able to get Bail, too much of tolerance in the institutions. Too much of tolerance in the institution. A particular leader of opposition becoming a habitual offender of defamation. Defamation. He defames the institution, he defames the leader, he defames the prime minister, he defames the state of India. He defames the state of India. He questions the integrity of India. He states that we have to fight even against India. He questions India, but exists as a leader of opposition with the status, because too much of tolerance, the value of prohibitions, taboos, the value of the extreme tolerance, the value of the extreme version of forgiveness, these are all the negative values. These are values should be balanced. A value of justice should be balanced. A justice with too much of mercy is not a justice. A justice with a balance. A justice should be with the authoritative. Bible states that I deliver justice in my right hand. என் வலது கரத்தால் நீதியை தாங்கிக் கொள்கிறேன். Right hand means hard hand. Right hand means the right hand. Justice don't have the mercy. But the justice operating with the principle that bail is a rule and detention is exemptional. That is not justice. I dislike. So these were the aspects of human values and aptitude and the human values. Okay, answers practice. The things are lesser to learn, but more of applications in answering. Okay, so instead of reading, focus more on answering practice. See you next class. முடிச்சிடலாம். அடுத்து இன்னும் ஒரு நெக்ஸ்ட் வந்து இந்த ரிஃபார்மர்ஸ் அதெல்லாம் பார்த்துடலாம். அதுக்கப்புறமா இது என்ன இருக்குது, இது எமோஷனல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ். அதுக்கப்புறம் த வேல்யூஸ், அகெயின் த வேல்யூஸ், ஃபங்க்ஷனல் வேல்யூஸ், அது நம்ம முடிச்சுன்னா நம்ம கேஸ் ஸ்டடிஸ். இன்னொரு fourth class, this is fourth class, still 5 more class will complete. Okay, at the end of class you will be writing answers mature. இப்போ practice start பண்ணுங்க. தெரியுது லாகுவா வருது எழுதுங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட். இப்போ கஷ்டமா இருக்குது, பின்னாடி ஈஸியாயிடும். இப்போ தெரியுது எழுதுங்க. பெருது அந்த கோல்டன் ட்ரையாங்கிள் அந்த மாதிரிலாம் எழுதணும். கேசஸ், இது எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் எல்லாம் மனசுல. இந்த பேப்பர் வந்து நீங்க படிக்கிறது கம்மி தான். இப்போ நீங்க கவனிச்சிங்க இல்லையா, இதை அப்படியே எழுத வந்துடும். உங்களுக்கு அடுத்து மற்ற பேப்பருங்களுக்கும் யூஸ் ஆயிடும். See you next class. First question, half test.